Afternoon Muttonistas, Primemutton here again. I know you're expecting a video about Cáceres and that is what you're going to get, but I'm having to introduce it from Chorlton, South Manchester because of a little technical problem. Anyway, you're going to love this video. It's called A Porky Day in Cáceres, and we join the action as the Primemutton strides purposefully towards lunch. So I was going to come to this place for a completely different dish, but on the menu I saw a dish I'd never heard of before. I looked it up. It's traditional from Extremadura and it's called zorongollo. It is smoked cod, crumbled egg, tomatoes and peppers, with olive oil of course. So underneath the mountain of egg we have the cod. And of course, it doesn't matter that we're not near the coast because, as always on the Iberian Peninsula, cod is salted and preserved and reconstituted in water. A little close-up. We're not far from Portugal, and this salt cod is at Portuguese levels of saltiness. Much more salty than the stuff that I had in Catalonia, but I like it. And now for the vegetables: red pepper, onion, cherry tomato. Very good mix of flavours, a little bit of paprika, a little bit of olive oil, all melding together. And as always, in this part of the world, the tomatoes and the other vegetables are of the best quality. So we also have on the table pork fillet on a piece of toast with torta de queso cheese, the cheese which you slice the top off, and I'm quite looking forward to trying this. And look at how pink the meat is there. You don't have to worry about your meat being overcooked in Spain. And again, a little close-up, quite hard to eat one-handed. The meat is cooked sort of medium, more towards medium well. I actually like the pork to be rare as well, but I didn't specify it. It also depends which cut of pork as well, but the fillet, yeah, I like it pretty rare. Still got a lot of flavour, very tender, and the cheese, particularly when melted, actually seems stronger than the cheese I had on its own yesterday. You'll find here that the torta de queso cheese is very versatile. You can have it with mushrooms, peppers, meat, whether it be pork, beef, lamb, very versatile. And I'd say if you're not a cheese lover, which I happen to be, you might find it interferes with the taste a little bit too much because it is the dominant flavour in this toast. And Muttonistas, if you want to take wine with this, with the tosta, the local white would go quite well, otherwise Galician or whites from other parts of Spain. So there you go folks, zorongollo, wow, never had that one before. The tostado with the cheese and the pork was a bit heavy actually, I'm going to have to walk that off, but the zorongollo, very fresh, light and tasty, and that's one you should try here. You don't have to have it with smoked cod. There are probably other places where they have it with lamb or just on its own as a side dish with whatever meat or fish dish you choose to take. Anyway, onwards and upwards to the next venue. So, we're at the next venue, Muttonistas, and what a venue this is. This is a place that I've been trying to get into both last year and on this visit. Finally we got a table. It's not easy, so you've got to time it well or make a reservation if you can so you can get in. And it is called La Morocha. It specialises in meat, of course, as most places do, but they have the most fantastic selection of wines, particularly red wines in there, particularly if you want them by the bottle, but they have a decent selection by the glass, and we're only having a couple of dishes here, so I've gone for that, and it's pretty respectable. So let's go in and try what they have to offer. back with Richard again, and he's gone for a Tinto de Verano, which is a little bit like sangria. It's like red wine with fruit juice as opposed to fresh fruit and ice, and a lot of people like that in summer. I've gone for the red wine as usual. They have a fantastic selection of wines by the bottle, but we've only ordered a couple of dishes, so I'm going to stick to the wine by the glass. But it is nice, I can assure you. I've ordered the Ribera del Duero. It's a lovely tipple. Served at a good fresh temperature, not too cold. So the first dish has arrived, and for some of you this might have an R18 rating. Carpaccio of Presa Iberico with foie shavings and fruits of the forest. So yes, that means it's another raw pork dish, and you know how much I like those Muttonistas. Presa Iberico is going to be an better cut of meat than your average piece of beef. So if I ever have Wagyu Carpaccio, then maybe I might change my mind, but for the moment, this is the DB. So, when I last had this dish, it was served with parmesan, which is similar to the way that beef carpaccio is served. This, what a great combination. I wouldn't have thought of it, but it is so good, it's almost decadent. And it goes without saying, it deserves another quick slurp. So that dish has just blown me away. Now, we weren't just going to take a couple of dishes here, but if the next dish is of the same quality, we're just going to stay here and order more and have dinner at one place instead of going to various places for little plates of stuff. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, do not worry about raw or rare pork. They would not serve it if it would make you sick. If the pigs, as the Iberico Bellota pigs are, fed on acorns, the word for which is bellota, and dried fruit sometimes, you have nothing to fear. It's when farmers cut corners and feed them the remains of sheep that you have problems. Modern day farming doesn't involve that. So get stuck in and enjoy your pork, medium, rare or raw. With the right beverage, of course. So, next one, another X-rated one for you Muttonistas. It is a tartare, and guess what sort of tartare? Yes, it's pork. So in terms of consistency, it kind of looks a little bit like a beef tartare. The flavour's different. It's a little lighter, and they've prepared this beautifully. Some herbs, some chives. Not too much seasoning to let that prime Iberico pork flavour go through. Okay, I've been sold on staying here. Time to get a bottle of wine. So, there we go, another mutton evening, going completely against plans that were set, but always with the best of intentions, because we search out the best food all the time. This is absolutely beautiful. And by the way, if there are any people who follow the Hindu religion watching and can't eat beef, this is, well, you might say it's as close to beef carpaccio or beef tartare as you might get. I'd say it's actually better. So of course, that was delicious. It was a simple dish, pork, high quality pork, bit of olive oil, some capers, some onions, herbs. It's all you need really. And the meat is so good, I can't wait for the rest of the dishes to come. And of course, these other dishes weren't going to appear on the vlog, but they will now. So, we have indeed stayed on, and we have ordered some more dishes. We've ordered a rice dish and some grilled meat, featuring a lot of Presa Iberico. And of course, for such high quality meat, we had to get the cavalry in the form of a bottle of Numancia wine from the Toro region of Spain. And when it comes to grilled beef, pork or any red meat, my go-to wine would be wines from the Toro area. Although a Ribera del Duero or a Rioja would be perfectly fine, it's just my taste. So I like these whack over the head fruit ones that they produce from Toro. Now, some of you might be wondering what the difference is between Pluma Iberica, Secreto Iberica and Presa Iberica. And the difference is that the pluma, triangular bit on top of the spine, often used to make embutidos or cured meat, and the one you'll find is lomos, closer to the loin. The secreto is the bit above the spine towards the back of the pig. If it's procured well, the marbling is intense. So if you want a fatty piece of pork with lots of flavour, and we're not talking about ridiculously fatty, secreto is the cut. But since we're sort of on a rare and raw pork evening, we've gone for the prime cut, the presser. That is the best cut of pork, and that is from the front of the pig. So the presser is the part attached to the shoulder. It's very muscular, and the muscular fat is often the best fat when it comes to eating pork. Anyway, enough waffle, the next dish has arrived. And we have a rice dish with presso iberica and with white truffle as well. Something I've never tried before, and it actually looks quite soupy. Some Spanish rice dishes are dry, some of them are soupy. This was a bit of a surprise, but I'm sure, given everything else has been good here, this will be good as well. But let's make sure we've loaded the cannons and have enough liquid to go with it. Well, Richard is salivating over this, so the combination of presso iberica and truffle with the rice has really got his digestive juices going. Which obviously necessitated a quick slurp, and he's going to taste the rice before I get in there.
Medic.
Okay, alright, so I think I'd better get in there before Gordon Brown taxes my portion. And you might say, oh, Mutton, what are you doing? Red wine in an ice bucket? It is common here because if it's slightly too cold, it can warm up a bit. If you keep a red wine at too high a temperature, it can kill it, it can destroy it. And if you don't believe me, get 2 bottles of some red wine you like, not too expensive. Keep one in a room that's 23, 24 degrees and chill one down to 14 or 15 degrees. Taste the difference. It'll be enormous. So Richard is raving about this, so let's see what it's all about. Can you see that, Muttonistas? Oh wow, that is rich. Subtle hint of truffle. The pork has melted its fat, it's transgressed into the rice is a bit soupy, and you've just got one hell of a mixture of flavours in there. So meaty, so tender, so rich, so truffly, just a little bit in the way of herbs on top of it. I think it's parsley, I'm not quite sure, but it is delicious. And as you know full well, Muttonistas, if it tastes good, a slurp will be good. And this wine has come out beautifully. I mean, what a pairing it is. If you're prepared to splash out a little extra, the high-end Toros are not only good value for a top-end wine, but they are perfectly suited to these kinds of meats. Well, forget paella, folks. This is the business. This is meaty rice on steroids. And I must say the service here is very good as well. I do like the way that each dish comes out at a time, so you get to try the different flavours rather than everything being on the table. All those requests were carried out perfectly, and it really does enhance the experience. A beautiful meal, a beautiful location, some really good food, and of course a great wine. Well, it looks like Richard's put the kettle on here, and more tea has been dispensed. So, the main event has arrived. We have Presa Iberica, Poco Hecho, rare as it should be, even though it's pork, and we have a full portion of solomillo, which is fillet steak. And one great thing about this restaurant is that everything you order, you can order in, well, not everything, but most things you can order in half portions instead of full ones, so you get to try more things. So Richard is cutting into the fillet, and when they say Poco Hecho, they mean Poco Hecho. That is correct. That is just how God intended it. Perfectly rare, seared on the outside, seasoned with salt, rare in the middle. So, the beef to start with, look at that. I mean, that is properly rare, as it should be served, especially for a fillet. The fillet is the cut that is most suitable for having rare, but obviously on mutton tours we have everything rare. Oh yeah, even Mrs. Myers, Cross and Thrower would be waxing lyrical about that. That is so tender, so flavoursome, bit of salt on the outside, served with sautéed potatoes. And Richard has a perfectly cooked morsel in front of him, bit of grilled asparagus, obviously merits a quick slurp. Now for the pork, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Presa Iberica, and whoa, look at that. Just look at that. Oh. Look at that. Look at that. Herby potatoes, rare pork. I'm in paradise. Wow, Muttonistas, that was the money shot, that was. One of the best pieces of meat I've ever tasted. Presa Iberico, poco hecho or rare. Don't miss it. Come to La Morocha in Cáceres. And that, of course, Muttonistas, deserves a quick slurp. And for such a great piece of beef to play second fiddle to the pork is incredible. The fat on the pork was just about crispy enough. In fact, the fat was perfectly crispy, yet the meat was rare inside, and the waiter came out and said we cooked it to the lowest amount possible, as in as rare as possible, and it was perfect, absolutely perfect. If you are a meat lover, you need to come here. Free limoncello on the house, off to the Plaza Mayor for a quick beer after this. We're on the move. Anyway, Muttonistas, unfortunately my phone and my camera ran out of video at that point in the evening, and I was probably a bit drunk anyway. Hope you enjoyed the video. Plenty more to come, both from Spain and from sporting arenas. And until then, I'm going to love you and leave you. And don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.